Hi there and welcome to Transformative Trailer Sales. Today I'm going to be walking you through your 2024 Wildwood 28 view. We are just going to start off at the back of the unit here. If you notice up top, you are pre-wired for an observation camera. You are also pre-wired or pre-mounted for a Lippert steering system. If you were to want to get hooked up with any of those, you can contact our parts department. They can get you equipped to get set up with that. You also do have your spare tire in the back here. And then just back here, right underneath this bumper is just your fresh tank drain. On this side of the unit here, in this corner, as well as all four corners of the unit, you do have a stabilizer jack. The way that works is you're going to hook up the tool, which we have located in the front compartment, to this drive nut. You're going to run this foot down to the ground. Once that foot contacts the ground, you're just going to give it another 1/8 turn just to snug it up, and it's going to take any bounce or sway you see we have in the unit. But before you do that, you do have to just make sure you take off safety chain. You do have a safety chain on all four jacks on the trailer, so just making sure you take those off whenever you put those jacks, before you put those jacks down, and whenever you do bring them up, just making sure that you hook those back into place just in case anything were to happen. It's not going to allow that jack to drop and drag while you're driving down the highway. You have a coax plug in right here. Up here, you do have your overhead stove vent flap here. Having this open is allowing that vent to evacuate all the smells and fumes. Whenever you are traveling, you can't just click it back into place just by pressing down, and that's just going to stop any excess dust from getting inside the unit. Right here, you do have your twist lock 50 amp plug-in. You just take a note of this silver patch here and these two notches. That silver patch lines up with this guy here, and those two notches line up with those two rounded out holes there. You're just pushing that guy in, locks into place. You got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that back, you do have your standard 50 amp plug-in. Now some campsites won't have this as it is quite a bit of power. So we do include this 30 amp adapter. Keep in mind, whenever you drop it down to 30 amps of power, you'd only be able to run AC. One AC, I do believe this unit only has one AC. Plugging that guy in. Whenever you do have that plugged in, you got these two blue lights up at the top here. That's just telling you do have a successful power source. If you were to have any red lights up there, that is telling you that your source of power is bad. We do also include a 15 amp adapter to go from 30 amps. Whenever you do that, you're again going down to a lower amount of power, so you wouldn't be able to run an air conditioner at all. You'd really only be running your lights and your fridge. Right to the left, you do have your two low point drains. That's just going to drain all the water that's inside the water lines. And then you do have your galley, gray tank, or sorry, your galley would be this valve here. Gray tanks can be this valve here. And then you do have two black tanks. And the way those work is you're going to hook your sewer hose up, which you have located in the back bumper. It connects to this outlet here. It just twists off. You got those ears, same ears that are on your sewer hose. They twist into here, lock into place. You're always going to want to empty your black tanks first. This is going to be your dirtiest water filled from your toilets. And then you can come behind that with your gray tanks. It's going to be typically a little cleaner water. You do have a second outlet here, which is for your second black tank. Up top here, you do have your water connection. You have your black tank flush, which is going to rinse out that one black tank. Whenever you do use the black tank, you always have to make sure that your sewer hose is connected and your black tank is open, so otherwise you do run the risk of rupturing your tank. And that's just to if you're getting false monitor panel readings or you're noticing any fumes inside the unit, it's just going to get rid of that. You also have two more coax plugins, and then you do just have your city water connection. You're going to know the two apart. Your city water is going to have the white handle. The black tank flush is going to have the black handle. A little further up, you do have your furnace exhaust. Whenever your furnace is running, it's going to be blowing out hot air. And then you just have your water heater. The main power switch is just right here. You hit it, turning that on. That does turn on the thermostat inside the unit, which I'll show you in a minute. And then you just have a pressure relief valve right down here. Whenever you do first get to your campsite, you're just going to want to give that guy a pull just to make sure you have that shot of water coming out of there, telling you that there is water running through it. At the front of the unit, you do have your battery disconnect. With the battery disconnect turned on, the batteries are connected to the unit. With the battery disconnect turned off, the batteries become disconnected from the unit. Inside this black box here is your battery. And then you got your two propane tanks underneath here. Most of the time you can just loosen this flap off with these two little knobs. and it'll give you kind of a quick access to your tanks. And most of the time you can do what you need to do with that. But let's say you want to change tanks out, or for the purpose of the video, just slide this guy off. And it doesn't give you access to those tanks. They're just barbecue style propane tanks. Turning them on opens up the flow of propane inside the unit. Then you do have your tongue jack. On top of your tongue jack, it just twists off, and it gives you access to a manual override in case you were to have any sort of failure. And then you have your light, as well as your up and your down. Along this side of the unit, you're just opening up this compartment, and then gives you access to that 15-amp park adapter. You get your 25-foot water hose, and then just located on the wall here, right up top, you have your tongue jack override, and then down below, the little bit bigger of a bar is going to be for your stabilizer jacks. And then a little light on the wall here, just so you can see what you're doing underneath here. Whenever you are putting storage and stuff in here to store, just being mindful that your VersaTilt bed is just, all the mechanism is right there. So you just want to be careful whenever you're stacking stuff in there. A little further down the unit, you do have a coax outlet in case you want to plug a TV outside, as well as two 110 plugins. And then you do just have your freshwater fill on this back corner of the unit. Sticking your hose in there, turning that on, it's just going to fill your fresh water tank, and that's what your water pump draws off of. To get inside the unit, you are just pushing up on your assist handle, folding it 90 degrees, it'll lock into place. That'll allow you to open up your door. Whenever you are pulling the stairs down, you do have to have the door fully open. And then you're just grabbing that blue handle. It'll allow you to drop those stairs down. Just taking a note of these little notches here. It'll allow you to adjust your stair feet for your campsite needs, so that's nice and level. Taking a step on inside, first thing you notice, on your left, you do have a fire extinguisher. That's going to be just like boom, pull the pin and shoot. And then right up on the wall here, you do just have some light switches. That one on the left does do the awning light, awning LED light outside the unit. This light on the wall does just turn on an accent light above the slide out. And then you have this dimmer switch, which does turn on most of the lights inside the main living space. And it's a dimmer switch, so if you hold it, it'll go from bright to dim. And anytime you let off, that's where the lights are going to stay. And then you have your water pump switch, turning that on, draws from your fresh water tank. You got the two light switches, and then you do just have your monitor system. You got your galley, your gray, your black, your fresh, and your battery. The tanks work as E, 1/3, 2/3, and then full. Then you got your battery, which goes low, fair, good, and C would be charging. You got your slide out button right on your left. Hitting that button down allows the slide out to make its way out. Once fully extended, you're just going to hear the whines and the clicking of the motor. That's when you're going to know you're fully extended. Just being mindful whenever you are putting that out to make sure that you do have room on either side of the slide. You hear that clicking, that's when you know it's fully extended. Then you can take your awning, hit that button down, and it'll allow your awning to start making its way out. Once fully extended, you are going to see the back of the metal tube and the little flap hang down. Being mindful of whenever the winds do start picking up to about 5 kilometer to 10 kilometer an hour winds, you're just going to want to bring that awning in so you don't run the risk of ripping your fabric or bending your arms. Unfortunately, today that's about all we're going to be able to go out, just for the sake of space. If it were to start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, and just pull down on this bar here. And that's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to then run off. Now, if you do like that angle better, you can do the same thing with the front arm. It's going to allow for more shade underneath. Just always making sure you do push those arms back to straight whenever you bring it in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. To bring this awning in, it's as simple as just pushing that button down. Once the awning contacts the side of the trailer, the motors are going to cut out, and that's that. And then right up top, you do have your solar controller, which is just more of a monitor system. Hitting that button will illuminate itself, and you can go in and you got different settings you can go through and set for your different batteries, and it'll tell you any sort of warning codes that you have. Hitting that back button will just take you back to the main screen. And then you have your Suburban water heater system. Hitting that button will turn that on. It's going to tell you what your current output temperature is. You can hit up and down to turn that temperature up and down. It does go up to 55 degrees. Hitting that button will turn it to Fahrenheit. To activate it, you are just turning your tap on and it'll automatically start warming up slowly. And then hitting that button will just turn it off. Inside your bathroom, you got your light switch on your left. You have a fan overhead. You just have to turn that knob. That'll open it up. You turn the switch on and it'll evacuate all the air. Just being mindful, if it ever were to start raining, you do have to close that up, otherwise it's going to get pretty wet in here. But we do sell Max Air vent covers. Great investment. It'll allow you to leave this open while traveling and leave it open whenever it's raining. You can contact our parts department for that. You got your main GFI plug on the wall here. Whenever you have an outlet that doesn't work, this would be the first place I'd check. You got test on the left, reset in the middle. If you have that red or yellow light, that's just telling you that the system is tripped. You do have a medicine cabinet, which does have a travel latch. So whenever you are traveling, you're going to make sure that that is latched. That way it doesn't pop open and smash. And then you got your shower with hot and cold water. Taking a step inside the bedroom, you do have a light switch on your left. Again, with another vent lid right here. There is no fan installed on this one. You got your Versatilt bed. Controls for that are just up on the wall here. Hitting that button up, the Versatilt will start making its way up. And if you hit that button down, the Versatilt will make its way down. You do have sleep app access on either side of the bed, as well as plugins inside there for that. You have USB plugins on either side of the bed as well. Storage all up top and above. And then you do just have your circuit breaker and fuse panel here. Whenever breaker trips, it's going to sit in the middle, so you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. Whenever you have a fuse blow, it'll have a little red indicator light telling you which one's blown. You got some nice storage underneath the bed here. You can pick up the foot of this bed, and it gives you access to that front compartment. And you do have a little laundry chute on the right side of the bed, which does go into that front compartment as well. Taking a step into the living space, all the blinds in the unit do work the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them. So if you pull them down and stop, that's where they're going to stay. And just giving it a quick tug will allow it to retract itself back up. You got sliding windows. The way those open, you're just grabbing that handle, pulling and sliding, and it'll allow that to open. Now this is also a fire exit, so this screen does just slide out of the way with it, and you can hop out of the unit. To close it, you are just grabbing it and pulling it, and then right before you get to your latch point, you just lift that latch, pull it over, and allow that to go down, and just make sure it's locked into place. You got some nice bench seating underneath the island. You have your main lounge area, which does have storage underneath, as well as some totes. You got your main entertainment center. This customer decided to go with a smart TV, so we installed that for them. And then you have your stereo underneath. Hitting that power button turns it on. It's going to be just like home, minus the fact of having zone 1 and zone 2. Zone 1 is going to be coming out of the main bar itself, and zone 2 is going to be your exterior speakers located on the outside. You have a fireplace down below. Hitting that power button on the far right turns it on. And then you have your different flame colors you can decide between, as well as your different light colors, the button beside it. And then you have your temperature settings. So hitting that button twice will put you into a low fan or a low heat setting. Then you got high heat setting, and then you do have a timer, and that timer goes anywhere from 30 minutes to 9 hours. Getting inside the kitchen area. Lots of storage. You got your Furion overhead vent system with a light. You got your microwave. Inside this binder, you're going to find any keys and remotes that you have for the unit. Flipping over the stove top, just being careful because it is glass. Getting the stove to light is just as simple. Just turning that over to the pilot option, hitting the sparker, and it fires right on up. And to get the oven going, you're just opening up this oven, turn on the light so you can see. Turn this knob over to the pilot option, holding it in, hitting your sparker. Just being mindful that it can take a few minutes just to purge all the air out of the propane lines. So just be patient with that. Just keep holding that in, and eventually your pilot will light, hold its own. Once you let off, turn it up to your desired temperature, and it fires right on up. Then you do have your Furrion fridge. Right down below, you're gonna have your different temperature settings. Obviously, turning it clockwise all the way to the right is gonna be on its coldest setting for both the fridge and the freezer. If you were gonna want that to be running on 12 volt whenever you're driving, you do have to have it on the off-grid setting, otherwise it's not gonna work. And this does come installed with a nice charcoal filter. We also saw replacements for those. That's just to help with some of the odor inside the fridge. And then just turning that all the way to the left, counterclockwise, turns it off. You got some wall storage space. The furnace and the stove both run off propane. Propane's heavier than air. The LP detector down there is going to detect it. If that guy does ever start going off, you are just going to want to turn off the main supply propane at the front of the unit and just open up some windows and turn on some fans. That'll help evacuate those fumes. And then you do just have your thermostat for your AC and your furnace right here. Hitting that button once will illuminate it. Hitting it again, you can choose between your different modes. If you have it on cool, that's going to be the air conditioner. Heat is obviously going to be the furnace, or you can have it on cool plus heat, which is going to activate either the furnace or the air conditioner for whatever your thermostat's set to. And then you can change your different fan settings between high and low. And then you also have auto. Whenever you are running the heat and cool option, you do have to have it in auto, otherwise it's not going to work. And at any point in time, you're just adjusting the knob to adjust your temperature, but you do either have to have the furnace or the air conditioner on to set your temperature. If you don't have anything on, it's not going to do anything. And then just turning that over to off, we'll turn it off. You are pre-wired for Wi-Fi as well. That's going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.